Thank you, sir. Our country has been dependent on two major forces since independence. One, the force of farmers, the second, the force of the army. Hence the slogan has arrived, Jai Kisan, Jai Jawan. Amongst us today, we have a fighter pilot. He has taken part in the Kargil war and flown two major fighter planes India has, the MiG-21s and the Mirage. Can anyone guess at what speeds do they usually fly? They are flown at a speed of 2,500 kilometers per hour on an average. At these speeds, these are flown. The armed person today with us is Wing Commander Bal Reddy.
Bharat Mata Ki!
Can we say Bharat Mata Ki? Bharat Mata Ki!
18 years back, sometimes similar times in the time of the year, that is May and June, and that event captured the collective consciousness of this nation. It did happen in the past many times. For thousands of years, this nation had similar situations, but this one is a recent one, 18 years back, and most of you would have heard it, I'm sure. I see all of you are around my age or maybe younger. I'm 43, just to put things in perspective. And I have two children, an 8-year-old son and a 10-year-old daughter. Going back to the 18-year back event that captured the collective consciousness of this nation, the year was 1999, yes it is, and Kargil was the event that we're talking about, the Kargil war. What happened during Kargil? Kargil itself is a district in a lesser known district of Jammu and Kashmir. In Jammu and Kashmir, for our foreign friends, just to put things in a little perspective, is the northernmost state of India, sandwiched between our good neighbors, Pakistan, Afghanistan and China. And then we had Pakistan getting adventurous in that area in Kargil, when our forces had stood down during winters along the line of control. And if Kargil has high mountains, and even the national highway passes through it. The national highway is an arterial road that provides essential supplies to the Siachen Glacier, the highest battlefield in the world, that is in height, altitude I mean to say, the highest battlefield. So Pakistan under the leadership of their army chief thought that they can get a little mischievous, and they took over the posts, a few posts as it appeared, but as time went by it unfolded to be a very orchestrated invasion of the posts in Kargil. During that period, I was in Bathinda, a very less known town in Punjab. Bathinda is a small town, and people there love chicken and liquor. That's the place, because the enemy was now sitting on mountain tops, and to reach him, probably Air Force could have been of some help. And that is where I became a squirrel in this whole process. And sitting in Bathinda, I had my squadron move away to Srinagar like 10 days before. Now this date is like 26th May I'm talking about. So maybe around 16th May is when the squadron moves with all its assets. That is, typically a fighter squadron assets are just fighter planes and nothing else. And then the squadron moves away, leaving a few people behind, to manage other things like, the administrative issues, and get the planes maintained and do some rectification and things like that, and fly those planes to test them, and also manage a small setup in the station that we were. We're talking about distances like between Punjab and Srinagar. Srinagar is the place that the squadron is getting deployed, going to move into the war zone, get ready, but no major action has started yet. So that is the background that I want to start my story. There have been some interesting learnings. I think stories probably capture the attention, and a war story for all these research scholars I think can be slightly different. Maybe you're used to seeing in movies. So I'll tell a story that probably hasn't been on any screen or in any book. So it's a personal story as I watched it. I'll just let it unfold to all of you today, I'll try my best. Actually, I thought while I was sitting there, I was inspired by Professor Dr. Maitra's time management. I said maybe even I can try this. Then I realized no, I can't deliver a talk on a gunpoint. I said no, I need to just put it away and do my talking as it comes, and then I deal with it. If you people have had enough, I'll just shut shop. I think it's lunchtime, so I will just shut shop and call it off. I'll try my best to wind up in as fast a time as possible, but bear me if I exceed the time, because army has not taught me discipline with time. Yeah, they only ask us to come in and there's no getting out. So I'm coming on time, so getting out is not part of me. So then there is this something called operational readiness platform that happens along the borders with tense neighbors. Operational readiness platform is something where planes are kept weapons ready and pilots are put on scramble. They are like just waiting for a buzzer to go and some lights to come on. Even if they are sleeping, they are trained to just get up in a second and then run to their planes and leave the airbase within 2 minutes. That is the kind of times that these guys are working with. So you can be safely continuing doing all your research. Well, there are pilots in the Air Force who are protecting the skies across the borders. You can be rest assured about that. So I was on one such setup left behind in Bathinda when the squadron moves away, and I was not happy. I was the youngest in the squadron at that point. I was not happy that why am I not getting some role to do in the war? Why am I not going to Srinagar? And I always had this argument with my commanding officer. My commanding officer is Birender Singh Dhanova. He is incidentally the chief of air staff now. He is the present chief of Air Force. He is a Sardar, a big fellow. And I was almost 5 feet plus. He was almost 6 foot, huge, about 90-100 kilos. And I could only raise my voice and talk to him. I could never match him. And this is another situation I must tell you. I must tell you that I am not used to talking to people below me unless they are my juniors in the forces. But I am always used to sitting down and listening and looking up to people. And some more things like this, some mannerisms, I am only used to walking on the left of my seniors. And if a junior is walking with me, then he has to be on my left. So we make sure that things like this, how badly we are ingrained, you can say regimented to do things, and it just becomes second nature. So today I am breaking all the rules. I am here up talking to intelligent people. Very difficult. I am finding it very strange, but we'll just continue with the story. So then at this operational readiness platform where we were, I got a call. Squadron has gone. I am not gone. I had this script that I am not going, though I am one of the youngest in the squadrons. Probably they thought I didn't have the experience to participate in the war at that point. But only thing I could match up with anyone else in the squadron at that point was my administrative abilities, and my commanding officer, like I said, Tony is called actually. I'll keep it to Tony, it's easy for me. Birender Dhanova is known as Tony in the Air Force. So Tony tells me that you are a great adjutant. We need an asset like you back in base to take care of things. So remain there, take care of the men. Few men who were left behind, and also all the ladies who are behind. Don't get me wrong. I was a very good soldier. I only take care of. I can tell you one incident. There was a sergeant in the Air Force. He had gone to Srinagar, and then his wife had committed suicide in Bathinda. So that was a learning experience for me to deal with these scenarios, which are completely different from war situations. So I'm just giving one incident like that. But coming back to the story. What happened was I got this call from Tony asking me to take a plane next day, which is ready from maintenance, and fly it to Srinagar. So I said, yeah, this is the moment I was waiting for. As if a soldier waits and he wells up all his courage to face his enemy. Doesn't matter what will be the outcome. He always thinks he will be the winner. So with that attitude, I was ready. I told the rest of the guys who were with me, we were 4 or 5 of us, that I'm gone. Now you guys manage here. And I was, already I got a chip in my shoulder that I'm going to Srinagar now to be part of the war. And actually the war hadn't started from the Air Force yet. The army was losing people because they were trying to scale up these mountains and take back the posts at that point. But then Air Force was yet to get inducted. We were getting deployed, but we didn't start flying yet. We didn't start facing the enemy otherwise. Now with Tony's call and that I should get ready tomorrow to go away, I was very happy. And then I got a second call. The second call was from nobody other than late squadron leader Ajay Ahuja. Ajay Ahuja was posthumously awarded the Veer Chakra post Kargil, and I've worked very closely with him for 2 years. He's been my mentor in a way, so much that it's coincidence that after a year of working with him, I just discovered that he's from the same squadron where I got trained in National Defence Academy way back in 91. So he left National Defence Academy 10 years ago before me. But then there was a bonding that was there, like there will be alumni of the IICT, so you have a bond between people. Even if you didn't have, even if you were not working with another senior of yours at the same time, but when you've gone far away, maybe in Europe or America, when you meet, and he says he's from IICT, there's a bond that develops. So it's something like that I had with the late squadron leader Ajay Ahuja. I'll keep calling him Ajay because it is very easy. In the Air Force, unlike the Army, we are slightly different. Once we wear our helmets and we start flying, we only call by first names. We don't call sir, we don't call squadron leader, we don't call wing commander, nothing. We just call first names. So it's easy for me. And just to let you know, in the Air Force, I was always called as Baldy. Though I have hair and I'm still keeping them. It's not transplanted. I'm called Baldy. So Ajay and Tony and like that, the many more names. That also was quite inspiring younger days in the Air Force. Now coming back to the story again, back and forth. So what happens is Ajay Ahuja tells me that I need to go to his place that evening. Meet ma'am and pick up a parcel for him. So I said, okay, I'll get it, I thought. So after the call was over, I was wondering, how much can I carry? Okay, he's my flight commander, I love him. But then if he's going to give me a bag, he knows that there is no space in a MiG-21. You might be thinking we have a dicky back there. But there is no place in a MiG-21. You will be shocked to know that a pilot who is ferrying an aeroplane like a fighter plane like a MiG-21, unlike the French planes that have flown later, Professor Ray and probably some French friends will understand that French make beautiful planes, and the Russian plane that I was flying didn't have space. They made the plane and then they figured out where to put the pilot, and they found a hole and they put the pilot there. It was like that. So this bag was a problem. It was bothering me at that time. War wasn't a problem anymore. I was thinking, I don't need to carry this bag if it's going to be a parcel. My imagination is running wild. I said, okay, let me see. I'll go in the evening. I coordinated with the rest of the guys who were not on ORT that we have a dinner at Alka Ma'am's place. Alka Ma'am is incidentally late squadron leader Ajay Ahuja's wife, and you can proud to say that I'm in touch with her. Probably every month or 2 months or something. Not that there is an alarm for me to make a call, and it's not a Facebook reminder, or it is not a photo sheet post that I have to give a like and things like that. But it is a bond that develops in a fighter squadron, and the relationships in a squadron are like that in a family, and a very healthy family, like an Indian family, where the father and mother are exactly like the commanding officer and his wife. They really take care of everyone in the squadron. We might be about 20 pilots in the squadron. They are actually pampered when not in uniform. When in uniform, it is serious professionalism. Not in uniform, you get, you can say, they just become your brothers. And the flight commander like Ajay is the eldest brother. And all the time, their plan is to just keep grooming you to make you, the best pilots and great leaders. That is what they are looking at. And they just go about their work. There is no classroom to teach you anything there. It's all real time. Everything you're learning on the ground, in the planes, on the aprons, and talking to your men. There might be 400 men you're dealing with. Men, I mean to say, they'll be mostly mechanics, the people who make the planes or fix the planes. And there will be other fields like accounts and a lot of them, including we have a squadron doctor on our strength, we have a technical officer and things like that. So I'll push it. I think I'll apply a little afterburner to speed up our talk and get you into the war zone. So this bag was resolved when I reached ma'am's place, because after a lovely dinner we had, and she is best known to make paneer, and we can't forget, because when you live outside your home, I'm sure a lot of bachelors would understand, when you go to someone's place, you really cherish the food ladies make, and definitely I think you just get connected. That reminds me, army, they say marches on its stomach, and I know that lunchtime is getting close, so I'll again try and speed up to finish things fast. So back to the dinner, I was handed over an envelope after the dinner when we were thanking, and when I took the envelope, I said, ma'am, this is the parcel. So I was happy suddenly that I can manage now with the bag I have into my plane, which is kept inside a gun compartment. There is no place to keep bag, like I said. There is a gun compartment where the bullets are stored in a MiG-21. So that is a place where we keep a small bag, about 15 liters or 20 liters max. So I was happy, but then I asked, what is this envelope about? She said there is money in it. And she wrote on it 5600, 5600 rupees were inside. So it was not sealed, so I could see it. There were all 100 rupee denominations. I said, this is easy to carry, ma'am. And I thanked her, played with Ankur. Ankur is Ahuja's son. He was 8-year-old. And played with him and then came back home. Then finished my bags and had to sleep. We couldn't drink that day because there was flying next day. Otherwise, a fighter pilot has a drink in the evening when he doesn't have flight next day. That's the norm. I think probably the British gave it to us. Not a good thing. So I will not advise that all of you get into this habit. Liquor is very bad, and I've stopped drinking now. So then I got back to the squadron, flew out that flight next day morning, reached Srinagar, and Ahuja was waiting for me in a blast pen where the plane was parked. So where the plane had parked, Ahuja was himself there to receive me. And he came in a Willys jeep, which probably the Srinagar Air Base had, and he got it from them. So he took me in the Willys jeep. I was excited to travel in a Willys jeep, open top one, which we were not used to. We are used to aircrew vans and things like how they show in the border movie, something like that. They are all normally Kataras. I think probably the ones that are not maintained well land up with flight operations, because they know we fly better ones, so they want to give us poor ones on ground. So then the Willys, I was traveling, I asked him that, what is, sir, this envelope is here, what do you need the money for? So he said, yeah, you keep it when I come back from my flight. He had a first flight of the first wave for the Kargil that the Air Force was supposed to launch that day. His own flight to do. He said, when I come back, the courage to ask, ma'am, why are you sending money to sir? And he said, I'll go to Indian Airlines counter, book 2 tickets, one for Alka and one for Ankur. Maybe a month or 2 months. I said, sir, that sounds great. I said, the families can come into this. That's why I'm saying I'll do it a month or 2 later. So he was so optimistic the war will get over. A month or 2 down the line, when the war is over, he thought he can bring his wife and son, how well we planned. I said, that's great. I was thinking, I was not married, I don't even have a girlfriend. Maybe because the place is beautiful. Srinagar, if you visit that place, you must. It's very much a part of our country, we must go there. Even if you hear all the bad news about Jammu and Kashmir, it's very much a part of us. And the human body. One thing we must remember, that the nation is nothing but Mother India. She is like a body, and if there is a problem, a disease in one part of it, we must not surgery it. We must visit it, we must give it our best and have it get rectified and repaired. That should be the attitude for each one of us wherever we are, because it is very much a part of our nation. And then I couldn't take my bag from the gun compartment because it takes a long time to open that damn thing. And Russians made it very difficult. It doesn't open with a bolt or anything. A mechanic has to come, he has to open some 20 rivets and things like that. So then I went away with him, with Ahuja. But the envelope, luckily I had it in my G suit, a suit that we wear to fly planes. So I took it out from there and I gave it. So then after some time when I reached the squadron, I realized I reached a squadron where 2 fighter squadrons were operating from the same place. The 9th squadron is known as Wolfpack. They were flying MiG-27s at that stage, and I was part of the 17th squadron, well known as Golden Arrows. The whole Air Force used to tease us and call us Golden Studios because we used to have camera pods, those photo pods that used to take pictures of the target area. So that was our second role, that was also our job. So people used to ridicule us and call us Golden Studios. And so much was that instinct in me about the Golden Studios that while I was seated and Dr. Maitra was showing his picture and he said, keep your eyes open. I was concentrating on that first slide of his. There was a shot of a castle and all the trees around with the shadows, with like probably a sunrise or a sunset picture, trying to figure out what is in there that he's going to ask the question about. Because you've been trained so badly that you start seeing everything as a target. So for me that was the target. I said, okay, there's something there, he's going to ask a question, and he already said, open your eyes. I said, okay, I've already got a lot of lead time, and as soon as he asks the question, I'll have the answer, but being in the front row, I can't get my hand up. I said, okay, I'll keep quiet, I'll be satisfied that I knew the answer later. But I didn't spot anything abnormal with that picture. So now back to this, photo reconnaissance I was talking about, the squadron role, the 9th squadron, 17th squadron together operating out of Srinagar in the same flight complex. And normally flight complexes in war zones are underground. we become actually rats staying underground. That's what we do to protect ourselves from the enemy when he is striking us. So that we are safe inside and later you come out and do the strikes across. That's the plan. So now when and one more incident, Nachiketa was part of the 9th Squadron. And Nachiketa, if any one of you know, became a POW, prisoner of war, because he ejected from his aeroplane after engine failure. And he is also a Hyderabadi. It is highly possible that institutions like yours can easily bring in better guys to be part of and interact with you. He is a Hyderabadi, he lives in Hyderabad and I know him personally very well too. So that's about Nachiketa. Now Ajay Ahuja does this and then he shows me the flight complex, then he gets busy with his own mission. He had another another pilot with him, Gautam was his name, so we call him Garu. We call him Garu because he is also from Andhra Pradesh, he is also a Reddy, and because I am already a Reddy who reached before him into the squadron, people were calling me Baldy, so Bal Reddy. They said they can't call a second Reddy there, it will be confusion, in the air, one guy calling Reddy and two are responding. So they said, yaar, tu Reddy nahi hai, tu Garu hai. So they made him Garu. It is just a coincidence that Garu lost his life about 7-8 years back in an air crash in Pathankot area. So it's just part of our life to lose best friends, to lose peers, to lose seniors and juniors becomes just part of our life. And even picking up remains of your own good friends in a crash site becomes part of your life. So you don't feel anything abnormal. In fact, so much that when you lose a friend of yours in the squadron, within 1-2 hours, the squadron will come together, the commanding officer or the flight commander will address everybody like our father or our eldest brother would do, and then they would tell you that okay, who all are ready for flights, and you have all the hands going up. All hands go up because you are trained to do this, mainly because in war, just because one guy doesn't come back, you can't say that I don't want to fly. So it is part of peacetime, you lose friends, you go fly the same day, it's like you get a kick by doing it. And then in the night, yes, you sit in the bar and you then miss him, you talk about him, all the things he did, and then the day goes by. And as time goes by, memories fade, only a few stay with you, and keeps you going to keep doing what you've been trained for this nation. That is what I think men in uniform keep doing very well. I didn't stay very long. I practically been a coward, left the forces early. I felt I've done my bit and all my active flying was there in the squadron. I spent total time of about 18 years in the forces. I said now I can't watch myself not go up because it needs another caliber to go up, and I probably felt that I need to be with my family and do other things, so that's why I had to leave. But then any amount of time spent with the forces will just change you. Why? I can tell you one incident. I'll pause the Kargil story to tell you something about National Defence Academy. The first day I was getting through the gates at National Defence Academy in Khadakwasla in Pune. Against all my family pressure, none of them wanted me to join the forces. They thought that I was intelligent enough not to get into forces. They thought they might lose a son by sending me to the forces. My mom, my dad, that is the attitude of people in the south. But it's a fact, we have to take the step and we've got to move ahead and do what we think is very passionate to us, whatever it might be. So I went there. When I was getting into, it was army truck that was taking me in. I saw a big hoarding, National Defence Academy and Maker of Men. So I was, my imagination, ran. I said, yeah, I'm a boy. I'll become a man maybe in 3 years, I thought. That's really what I thought. I had no idea what was NDA all about. Got there, physically, beaten, brutalized, and learned everything that the forces have to offer to you in a place like NDA, which is the alma mater for every force guy in the country today. You can say probably like the IITs or IICTs or IISCs, something like that, but there's only one, unfortunately, producing enough to take care of the needs to produce officers from the tri-service for the nation. While all of you cross that age, but I'm sure if there are kids who are about 17 years with maths, physics, that's the place to go. I think to spend some time, serve the nation in any way possible. Now, second hoarding I saw that really changed my life. In NDA, in the squadron where I was living 24/7, we have 110 people, almost 15 squadrons like that, like 15 hostels you can say, and 1500 people is the total strength in that place getting trained. And let me tell you, 1500 people dying at the same time. So you just nothing but dust in that 1500. You're just another person doing what everyone is getting regimented to do beautifully, and no questions asked. That is why discipline is of a high order. You see the parades and all that comes from this. To manage those numbers, you don't need very intelligent people. Even if you have intelligence, you're made to stop thinking, to do what the nation needs you to do. And with this particular thing of the second hoarding, I saw the second hoarding as soon as I entered the squadron where I'm going to stay 3 years. It said, the famous words of John F. Kennedy, which said, ask not what your nation can do for you, ask what, he said country though, I use it nation, I like nation more than country. So he said, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. I think that is applicable not just to country, to your family, to your community, to your state, to your city, everything. Everything. And practically if you have that attitude of giving and not attitude of taking, you will go a long way. And you see the nature is full of this. Nature doesn't take, nature only gives. And that is what should be our attitude. If you are chemical engineers, you scientists, research scholars, whichever part of the world you come from, if you can give, I think that is the best thing that can happen. Now back to the story of the Kargil. I'll keep it short and crisp because I don't want to stretch. How much time I'm taking? How much time I have? So then Ahuja's formation was about to get airborne. He asked me to drop him. I said, sir, how can I drop you? He said, in the same gadi we brought you in. The Willys, I said. I was excited to drop them on a Willys to their aeroplanes. That was a jeep open and a left-hand drive and stuff like that. So I said, sir, I don't have a service license. He said, I was so small then that he told me that war tanks don't need service license anymore. So you can just drive and drop us. I was excited at that moment to drive a Willys. How fighter pilots can be excited to drive cars and things do differently. So dropped them, and that was the last time I bid goodbye to him. He never came back. He never came back. He kept his money with him. He thought he'll do all that when he comes back. And after seeing him off, before I see him off, again as selfish I was, I asked him, sir, when will I get inducted into the war, the day one has started? He told me, as soon as I come back, I'll put you on a mission called sector reconnaissance. It is like a familiarization flight that you could do in the area where you have to operate. It's like a bird that flies, sees all the places that it can so that it doesn't get lost and comes back and lands. That is the kind of a plan, an hour flight or half an hour flight it could be. So I said, okay, now I have a target in mind, he is going to get me to do this, and then I'll get going with my own work and be proud about myself, because you are living with all your peers and your seniors, you're looking up to them, you want to just be with them and do what they are doing. So he says that, then he goes away. Soon after he has gone, I left him, I came back to the squadron, the same underground complex, to hear that Nachiketa is ejected in the war area, that's Kargil area, the target area. And Ahuja was going to the same target area with a gap. That was his mission. When Nachiketa ejected, he had a problem with his engine and he lost his engine and he left the aeroplane. So that was a time when Ahuja was about to reach that place with a gap, and he happened to see the parachute of Nachiketa. He has Hawkeyes because he's worked for a fighter reconnaissance squadron, a squadron that only goes around identifying targets, taking pictures of it, coming back, analyzing and sending it to the required places. That's a job. Apart from the strikes that we were supposed to do, go with bombs. Typically fighter planes do two jobs. Either they try to shoot an enemy in the air or they try to bomb a target on the ground. Typically, but there are many variations out there, but I'm just giving broad information about what fighter planes do. And Air Force is not just fighter planes, Air Force has a whole lot of other things which will be beyond the scope today. It will be very difficult for me to talk about, but nobody is less, nobody is more, everyone is equal. But yes, I'm just giving you one snippet from the eyes of a fighter pilot, a young fighter pilot in the squadron during Kargil. That's what I'm trying to do here. And here I'll tell you one thing that comes to my mind. One guru had once said, and this captured my attention. He said, don't think you're a drop in this ocean. He said, don't think you're a drop in this ocean, you're an ocean within this drop. And I said, how can it be? How can there be an ocean in a drop? I could not believe this. How can there be an ocean in a drop? But then when you see your own drop as your own family, your own near and dear ones, your friends, and a whole lot of them within that drop. So if you can become an ocean for all the people inside there, automatically you're contributing to this nation. And mathematically, mathematically, I love maths a little bit. I don't want to say too much because I don't want any questions at the end of this. So I'll not be able to take on questions. Well, I can try taking bullets, but questions will be tough. So mathematically, what I saw when a eureka moment happened in probably grade 4 or grade 5, when I tried to fathom this infinity business. How can numbers be infinite? How can it never end? And then my maths sir told me same happens on the negative scale. I said, shit, this is getting too much. How can there be infinite numbers on one side, infinite numbers on the other side? So what is this? And I was like perplexed. Only later as I was growing up, I understood the relevance of the drop and the ocean with the number system. When I like Ahuja and a whole lot of others, who lost their lives, give their life for this country. They are fueled by self-motivation and propelled by duty or dharma. They are fueled by self-motivation, something to do, and propelled by dharma. The other guy is doing wrong, I have to do it right. And so much that after Ahuja sir was lost, and I was the unlucky guy again to receive his body across the border, bring him, do a postmortem, and then carry him back to Bathinda, do the funeral rites with his son in my arms, and watch that whole process. And then watch this son grow up as if he is my own son, which is not really taught in the forces as a syllabus, but you learn it the hard way. And that is so no sacrifice is too great in order to help defend the defenseless from evil. No sacrifice. So why people say then why are soldiers killing soldiers and all that? We have no option. It is our dharma. As a soldier, we have to kill the other soldier so that our nation is protected. That's the job we have. The film stars can go around trying to sell their movies across the borders, but we can't even get into. We don't even have the order to get into these arguments. We want to stay away and do our job, which we try and do our best. And the Paramveer Chakra was instituted as an inspiration from the Dadichi story, like I said. And there are some wonderful quotes from Kargil times. There were 4 Kargil heroes, 2 posthumous and 2 alive. We have Captain Vikram Batra, Captain Manoj Kumar Pandey. These two stood tall in Kargil, put their lives at stake, and got us our land back from the invaders. We lost them, but they were awarded Paramveer Chakra posthumously. They never knew that they'll get Paramveer Chakra when they were fighting for the country. And we had 2 more, Nayak. So these folks gave their best, they put their life in line. And I'd like to tell 2 quotations. The nice one to interest all the young audience. Vikram Batra says, "Soldier lives by chance, loves by choice, and kills by profession." That's what Captain Manoj Kumar Pandey had gone on to say before he himself had given his ultimate sacrifice. He said, makes a lot of sense to me. My Hindi is not great, but I'll try my best. मौत की दुल्हन का भी स्वयंवर होता है, वो खूबसूरत से खूबसूरत जवान ले जाती है. And he was addressing a Gorkha Paltan because he's a Gorkha officer, Captain Manoj Kumar Pandey. And when he said this, he had one Gorkha, 5 feet guy stand up. Incidentally, the Gorkhas are supposed to be the bravest. Just to let you know, the British still keeps a regiment of Gorkhas to keep serving their needs. They can go anywhere and fight for their master, like how faithful dog does. And I don't want to demean the dog nor the Gorkha. They are great soldiers. We must respect them. And our country is in safe hands till such time we have soldiers not just like them from every part of this country. So one Gorkha Jawan stands up and says, "Saab, मैं खूबसूरत नहीं हूँ साहब," he says. So somewhere there's a taunt. He thinks that he might not die. He wants to die, but he is not going to die because this woman is not going to take him in Swayamvar, is what he said, he meant. And this is depicted very well in this movie LOC Kargil. If you people want to watch, 2003, I think Bollywood make with Manoj Kumar Pandey, I think enacted by Ajay Devgan. So this Gorkha says, "Saab, मैं खूबसूरत नहीं हूँ साहब." So this officer says, a young captain, probably early 20s, in the face of enemy, he says, "Gorkha, आप ये मत समझना आप खूबसूरत नहीं हो, आप जाके अपने माँ से पूछना, वो बताएगी तुम कितना खूबसूरत हो." It's not just your mother. I'm telling you, this nation needs people like them. This nation needs people, and it is not about flying our flag on all our neighbors. No, that is not the intention. We want a peaceful neighborhood, but we are not going to tolerate this disease from this virus called Pakistan. And we have a lot of our friends. I'll wind up. We have a lot of our friends, going overseas, going to US, going to Europe. Trying to do good for themselves. They study well, they get in a lot of money for their family, make them rich, improve their own lifestyle, contributing to humanity. Yes, I agree. But when their mother calls them, I've had some similar incidents. I have my friends from all over engineering. I was also doing engineering. I left and I went and joined National Defense Academy. I have my engineering friends who are never coming back now. They are citizens in US, very happy, settled, and I've seen this. I'm telling you this story out of them. I have think that a mother lost her husband and lost her, she doesn't have her husband anymore. She's managing herself, but the families, the daughter-in-laws don't seem to be getting along well with her, for whatever be the reason. Okay, the daughter-in-laws have got their husbands from this lady in India, but then they leave this old lady behind in the country, and they are can't say they are having a ball. Yes, they are having a challenge, keeping their career, keeping their family, running their own households and their children, and doing everything, dreaming big for their own children. But when the mother calls two sons, the elder one responds by saying, "Mom, I'm very busy. My career doesn't let me come to India." She calls up saying that I'm really terminally ill now. I don't think I'll live long, is what she calls up for. She says, I've got now diabetes and this and hypertension, a whole lot of things. She gives a big list which is standard for every Indian today who crosses 50. And then this son says that I can't come, I'm so busy, kids are going to undergrad now and all that, and it's very tough for me to get, but yeah, I know your account, I'll put some money, so you go to the best doctor and get yourself treated. And we had a second son, the same mother's younger son, who as soon as he hears his mom, he says, I was planning to call you mom, I didn't get a chance, though he started saying mom, they've forgotten ma and all that, so at least he's got something left in him. He says, I'm coming there. He puts the phone down, takes the first flight and comes back home to his mother to take care of her for whatever time possible. So why am I telling you this? These two sons is what a choice you have to make. One, the elder one, who is very busy with his own life and doesn't see his mother, doesn't see his country, or nation I would want to call. Country, I don't find it great, because B.R. Ambedkar says it very well about the nation. I believe that it is nationals who make a nation and citizens who make a state or a country. Okay, this is what Ambedkar had to say in different words. This is my interpretation, put best. And so citizens always want, they ask and they get. They say, what can I get? What can I get? And what do nationals do? They give. And that is what we must aim and thrive for this nation, for our family, for our community, and everything else, irrespective of what you are going to go on to do. It doesn't matter if you do anything or you don't do anything. But always try and give. I think with that I'll practically end. I'll just say that duty and dharma, soul and atma, like Kandalji was mentioning, I like this part, so I just incorporated this little bit, are intrinsic to our culture, and they might not appeal to modern minds. Dharma, it's like, it's not in the dictionary also, kind of a thing, because it's like an ocean to explain what is dharma all about, and I don't want to waste any more time. And atma similarly are intrinsic to this culture, might not appeal to modern minds, but they don't harm the believer and they don't hurt the non-believer. That is the best thing about this culture. They are neither, they are constructive, they are only constructive. They are not going to hurt you, hurt someone else. And they are inclusive and they are not exclusive. They are multiplying and they are not dividing. So they help you lead to cooperation and collaboration by eliminating the gratification, which is a byproduct of modernization and materialism, I feel. Yeah? And today, we have to take an oath to stand up to the internal enemy who is trying to divide us on lines of religion and class, language or class, religion or culture, and build our motherland so that the entire world looks up to us for what we stand, unity in diversity. Embrace modern science without forgetting the teachings of our ancients, and a culture that shows and accepts many paths to human glory, without neglecting any other culture or faith in the world. So I'll end it with the way it was started. My French friends can join too to call Jay. Bharat Mata Ki!
Thank you, Bal Reddy, for addressing us and visiting us. welcome them.
कोशिश करने वालों की कभी हार नहीं होती। रखते हैं जज्बा दिल में जीतने का, रखते हैं जज्बा दिल में जीतने का, इसीलिए हिंदुस्तान की कभी हार नहीं होती, हिंदुस्तान की कभी हार नहीं होती। मेरा कर्मा तू मेरा धर्मा
Everybody.
मेरा सब कुछ मैं तेरा सब कुछ तू। दिया है जान भी देंगे ऐ वतन तेरे लिए, हर करम अपना करेंगे ऐ वतन तेरे लिए। दिल दिया है जान भी देंगे ऐ वतन तेरे लिए। तू मेरा कर्मा तू मेरा धर्मा तू मेरा अभिमान है, ए वतन महबूब मेरे तुझ पे कुर्बान है, ए वतन महबूब मेरे तुझ पे कुर्बान है। हम जिएंगे मरेंगे ऐ वतन तेरे लिए, दिल दिया है जान भी देंगे ऐ वतन तेरे